Kenya is a land of breathtaking beauty and dramatic contrasts. From the fertile highlands to the arid lowlands, this is a nation whose heartbeat is tied to the soil. Agriculture is the lifeline to its economy and employing millions of citizens across the country. But beneath the surface of the green abundance lies a hidden crisis, one that threatens the very foundation of the nation's food supply and the health of its people. Maize is king in Kenya. It is the foundation of every meal, the ingredient that defines a nation's palate. Known locally as the source of ugali, the staple dish consumed in nearly every household, maize accounts for over 40% of the daily caloric intake for most families' crops. These essential cereals are grown across distinct ecological zones that define Kenya's agricultural landscape. Maize, the giant among them, dominates the Rift Valley region. Wheat thrives near the Tanzanian border and the slopes of Mount Kenya, while rice paddies flourish in irrigation schemes like Mwea. Sorghum and millet hold their ground in the arid and semi-arid lands. In millions of Kenyans' households, the storage of precious harvests is daily concern. The quantity consumed is immense, but the condition of storage often tell a troubling story. While most families store their maize in bags on raised platforms, the average storage time is just 2 months. Grain is often kept in traditional cribs, sometimes directly on the floor or even suspended from the roof to protect it from pests and moisture. Hermetic sealing, the gold standard of modern storage that uses airtight containers to suffocate insects and fungi, is almost unheard of at the household level. And it is within these imperfect conditions that the enemy thrives. Poor storage creates the perfect environment for moisture to accumulate, for pests to invade. Its name is aflatoxin. It begins in the field when plants are stressed by the drought or insect damage, creating entry points for the fungus. It explodes in storage when conditions are warm and humid, allowing the toxin to multiply rapidly throughout the grain supply. For aflatoxin, prevention requires a two-pronged approach, protecting the crop in the field and safeguarding it after harvest. Good agricultural practices remain essential. Farmers must harvest at the right time, neither too early nor too late. They must dry the grain immediately and thoroughly, reducing moisture content to safe levels within days of harvest.
Harvest at the right time at the moisture of 22 moisture content, dry immediately and do fast drying, sort out any damaged or infected maize, and if possible cool the maize to a reasonable degrees. And when we talk of drying the maize, we want you to dry the maize below 13%. Naturally, that's where the maize, you can't be able to dry the maize below 10 degrees. Because I say there is always some water in anything. So when you dry the maize to below 12 or to below 13, then the contamination will be reduced.
But this crisis is not inevitable. Solutions exist and they are within reach for every farmer, trader, and household. The first line of defense begins with testing and verifying the grain. Simple rapid testing kits can now detect aflatoxin levels in minutes, empowering traders and farmers to know exactly what they are buying and selling before grains enter the food supply. Once grain is harvested and in storage, the battle against aflatoxin enters a new phase. Hermetic storage significantly reduces the increase of aflatoxin during storage compared to polythene bags. Hermetic bags are airtight containers that create an oxygen-free environment inside which reduces the increase of aflatoxin during storage. These bags also eradicate insect infestation. In Kenya, the law sets clear limits for how much aflatoxin is allowed in food meant for people. For all types of aflatoxins combined, the maximum is 10 parts per billion. For aflatoxin B1, which is most dangerous and most common type, the limit is even lower at 5 parts per billion.
Aflatoxin that are considered unsafe for human consumption depends on the country. So in Kenya, the levels of aflatoxin that are considered unsafe is anything that is above 13 parts per billion. Anything above 13 ppb in Kenya is unsafe, but in the lab, we recommend up to levels of 10 parts per billion. Anything past 10 or above 10 in the lab, we consider that sample to have failed the aflatoxin test, and that is when we recommend that product is not sold to customers.
When limits are exceeded, the consequences are not theoretical. These rules match the standards used across East Africa, and they exist for one simple reason: to protect the health of families like yours.
Aflatoxin are carcinogenic, so they can cause some cancer. The other one, they are also toxic. They can cause a lot of headache, diarrhea, any other thing that is related to food poisoning. And by the way, you can get even this thing from when the animal feeds on aflatoxin, and then you go to eat the eggs or the milk or the meat, you still can have the aflatoxin.
The journey of grains does not end at harvest. It does not end at storage. Grains must be transported in clean, dry vehicles that do not expose them to moisture or contamination. Proper logistics and safe distribution to the market complete the chains. They must be stored at markets in facilities that prioritize ventilation and hygiene. The journey from field to plate must be protected at every step. Aflatoxin is a thief that steals health, wealth, and futures, but it is a thief that can be stopped.
Make sure that the storage is cool, the room. You don't store where it's very hot. You make sure that the maize is below 13 degrees Celsius. You also, where possible, put it in an airtight container so that other pests will not destroy, and also put other chemicals so that other pests, because when the crop is damaged, it's easier also to get aflatoxin. So you can also treat for other pests, and also make sure that there is nothing foreign and there is nothing that has been is destroyed in the maize.
It requires a national commitment from policymakers to prioritize food safety, from agricultural officers to deliver knowledge, from traders to demand safe grain, and from every farmer to adopt the practices that protect the families and their livelihood.